My sister and I drifted apart after our parents' death, but a forgotten letter brought us back together. After our parents passed away, everything changed in ways I never imagined. My sister and I had always been close, inseparable really. We were each other's confidants, partners in crime, the best of friends. But after the funeral, after the weight of their absence settled over us, we started to drift apart. It was gradual at first, missed phone calls, shorter conversations, a growing distance that neither of us acknowledged but both felt deeply. Our once vibrant connection was fading, and the silence between us grew louder with each passing day. Grief is a strange, isolating force. Instead of bringing us together, it drove us apart. We each retreated into our own worlds, consumed by the loss, overwhelmed by the new responsibilities of navigating life without our parents. It felt like not only had we lost them, but we were also losing each other. And that realization hurt almost as much as the loss itself. Months went by. Life moved on, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something vital was missing. Not just the presence of our parents, but the relationship I had once shared with my sister. We used to talk for hours, share our thoughts and dreams, laugh about the silliest things. Now, when we spoke, it was only to exchange practical updates or deal with estate matters. The love was still there, buried beneath the surface, but it felt distant and unreachable. One gray afternoon, I found myself back in our parents' house, sorting through old boxes in the attic. The air was thick with dust and memories, and each object I pulled out seemed to carry a weight of its own. As I rifled through stacks of old photos, birthday cards, and faded trinkets from our childhood, I found something I had long forgotten: a letter. It was tucked inside a book my mother used to read to us when we were little. The envelope was brittle, the paper yellowed with age, but her handwriting was unmistakable. My heart skipped a beat as I carefully unfolded the letter. It was addressed to both me and my sister, written years ago when things were simpler, before illness, before grief. The words poured out like a lifeline from the past. My mother had written about family, about the bond we shared as sisters. She wrote about the little things she cherished about us, how we used to giggle late into the night, how we always stuck together through thick and thin. And then she wrote something that stopped me in my tracks. No matter where life takes you, no matter how hard things get, always hold on to each other. You are each other's greatest gift. I could hardly finish reading through my tears. It felt like my mother was speaking directly to me from beyond the grave, urging me not to let go of my sister. The letter was a reminder of everything we had lost, but more importantly, everything we still had. Our connection wasn't broken, just buried beneath the pain. I knew immediately that I had to share it with my sister. I called her that evening, the words catching in my throat as I asked her to come over. There was hesitation in her voice, but when I mentioned the letter, she agreed. When she arrived, I handed her the letter without saying much. As she read, I watched her expression shift from confusion to surprise, and then to the same overwhelming sadness that I'd felt. Tears slid down her cheeks, and when she finished, she looked up at me, her voice barely a whisper. I had no idea this existed, she said. We hugged, really hugged, for the first time in what felt like forever. It was as if the weight of the past few months, the silence, the distance, melted away in that moment. We sat down and began talking, really talking about everything we had been holding in. We cried for our parents, for the pain we had endured, but mostly for the time we had lost with each other. That night, we stayed up for hours, reminiscing about our childhood, laughing through our tears at old stories our mother used to tell. It was like we had unlocked something, like that letter had broken through the walls we had built around our hearts. In the days that followed, I wanted to do something to remind my sister of our bond, something tangible she could hold on to, especially on the days when grief felt too heavy. That's when I found the Sister Gifts blanket. It wasn't just any blanket. It was soft and comforting, made from super soft microfiber polyester, but what made it special were the words printed on it. Beautiful sayings about sisterhood, love, and the bond we shared. Each quote felt like a message from the letter, something that could remind her, every day, that we were in this together. When I gave it to her, I explained that it wasn't just a blanket. It was a symbol of our journey through grief, our healing, and the love that had been there all along. My sister hugged it to her chest, tears in her eyes, and told me it felt like a hug for me, even when I wasn't there. She keeps the blanket on her couch now, and she told me that every time she wraps herself in it, it's a reminder of our bond, of the love that's still there, no matter how much life has tried to pull us apart. It's something small, but in its own way, it has helped us both heal. We didn't fix everything overnight. Grief doesn't work that way. But that letter, and the conversations that followed, opened a door we thought had been closed forever. And now, whenever life feels overwhelming, I know that my sister is just a call away, and she knows the same about me. If you've ever felt that kind of distance from someone you love, I understand how painful it can be. But sometimes, all it takes is a small gesture, a conversation, a letter, or even something as simple as a blanket, to remind us of what really matters. If you're looking for a way to reconnect, or to show someone you care, the Sister Gifts blanket is more than just a blanket. It's a reminder, a symbol of love and sisterhood that speaks to the heart. Sometimes, the smallest things make the biggest difference.